Welcome to Soft Sensors Thought Leadership Webinar. So the next question again goes to Kerry, something we were discussing earlier, Kerry. The critical issue where there is a potential for the AI systems to perpetuate or enhance biases, and especially when they are trained on biased data. And with the news of all the problems coming because of the Google Gemini version, latest version, and all those things aside, my question is more on the risk which we think is more ethical and has the societal concerns, particularly in sensitive areas which, Kerry, you have led for a long time, like the talent acquisition, where AI-driven decisions, they can actually have a profound impact on individuals' careers and life. What's your view on the ethical and societal consideration, at least in the short and the medium term, how this will play out? Anything which you think from a policymaker perspective, how these could be addressed?
Sure. So yes, this question of bias is of course real, and it's also very complex. I will still steer clear. Some of the recent news affecting any number of companies, including Google, is saying, and focus a bit on Deep, what you just suggested, which is people scenarios. And I am very optimistic here. However, we have to be very thoughtful and intentional, I believe. So let's take a concrete scenario, one that you alluded to, using AI in this case, better enable identification and or selection of people for jobs. Here's the thing. There is a fundamental principle that does not change with AI. And this is one that I think should give us some encouragement. And that is that the accountability has existed throughout many evolutions in technologies and will continue to exist. The accountability will be for outcomes, no matter how the process works and no matter what tools are employed. So if we think about the United States and frankly many other countries, in the U.S., the laws that prohibit discrimination based on any number of factors associated with biases, could be race, gender, etc. Those laws have existed for more than a half a century, and they have been applied and enforced through many iterations in the hiring process. From when there was an ad in the newspaper, wanted for such and such a job, or now digitally, jobs are posted on a website or a third-party job board, keyword searched and resumes, etc. Actually, AI, I believe, almost certain, will lead to more people being considered who are potentially a match for a job. And that is a great thing. But whether AI capabilities are leveraged or not, the burden will remain on the employer to achieve non-discriminatory outcomes. The employer can't blame the technology. And because, therefore, there are inherent risks, much testing needs to be done and measurement needs to be done. A lot of data analysis needs to be done. But I think we have to set the bar high, because I believe the opportunity is not simply to ensure that we don't do further harm. I think the opportunity is that we actually get to better outcomes, more inclusive outcomes. I want to just make one point here, which wasn't directly part of your question, but I think it's important. The regulatory landscape here is going to be complex. And this is not just an AI thing. There are lots of examples. Regulatory variability can be very challenging when it comes to people and employment scenarios. And a good example that some may be able to relate to from the past decade has been the range and reach of data privacy regulation. It has been very challenging. And so the extent to which we see variability in AI regulations, particularly as it relates to process, and we will see this, we already are seeing it, this is going to be challenging, and companies are going to, all organizations are going to have to be very thoughtful about how to navigate what will be a variable regulatory environment and not try to hide from it and not try to ignore it, to respect it. But if you want my selfish view, I hope that we converge on as generalized a set of regulations as possible, because that's going to make things a lot easier. But I'm not naive enough to think that that's where we're going to be out of the gate.
Thanks, Kerry. This is very powerful because, yes, bias in AI is a very, very complex topic, and especially today when we are seeing two different extremes, even in this AI scenario, what you brought out is really powerful, that the accountability at the end of the day is of the organization. Accountability that we use the technology for more inclusive outcomes, that is really a very powerful statement. And thanks for bringing in the aspect of the regulatory landscape, because that is going to be another important one. So thank you. Thanks, Kerry.